Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good evening. Um, the scenario I would like to talk about today is it starts off from a fictional place um, from the Black Panther movies, the Black Panther comics, Wakanda. So, when that movie came out a couple of years ago, there was a lot of um, fan and fervor for um, people all of a sudden excited to hear about Africa, even though Wakanda was a fictional place. It was what took people there who had no knowledge of this continent. People began researching more, um, but some didn't, and so there were some people who knew that my country of origin is Zimbabwe, and so I had a situation at work where someone who was excited to have watched the movie came to me and asked me, "So, is your country close to Wakanda?" So initially, I just took it as somebody that was joking, but um, in having more and more conversation, I realized that they were actually serious. And then it came to uh, why are the rest of the countries in Africa poor if this place Wakanda is so rich and a technology hub in Africa, and so it then led on to discussions about poor governance, um, dictatorships, and pretty much saying, all African people are corrupt, or at least the undertone of the conversation, that's what it was. So I realized at that point that I had to end this discussion because the person I was talking to was not culturally competent in terms of knowing or understanding um, that, firstly, Africa is a continent with many countries, and Wakanda is not one of them. But even in all those countries' unique features, there are people that are of different cultures, even within the cultures, and many other aspects that make um, the continent and the countries there unique. So, which leads me to one thing that I realized in taking this class, that there are so many things that are the result of cultural competency being, lacking, and one of those is that by the end of this program, people are not aware that they're actually being culturally incompetent. They might not even be aware of their own attitude, and there is, when you are when you're not culturally competent, you might not have those cross-cultural skills, and you haven't developed them, and or you might not even have been given the opportunity to develop them, because you have probably stayed in your own bubble or in your own immediate environs and haven't ventured outside or haven't been exposed. So in building cultural competence, we must be tolerant enough to know that not everyone is deliberately culturally incompetent. The cultural competence comes from exposure and the will and desire to actually grow it. So, what do you think my story and my situation? Where do you think it pairs on the continuum? Do you think it is somewhere in the middle? Somewhere, is it low or is it high? I know for me, ended up being annoying because it was there was a lot of things in the discussion in the conversation that were now being painted with the one brush, and there was not clear understanding of African and particularly Zimbabwean culture. Let me know.